How's it? How's it? The great problem many photographers labour under is that they believe they live somewhere boring. And if only they could go somewhere new and exciting, everything would change. It'd be so much easier. And I had a chance to, test out this theory because I was flying from the UK to San Francisco, city I'd never been to before. And I thought, okay, well, let's see what happens. And what I actually found out was that it's not the solution that most people think it is, but rather something else entirely, which I feel has a far greater benefit to developing and growing as a photographer. However, I do need a coffee before I share the story with you. So come and join me in the kitchen and we'll get a coffee and we'll have a chat. All right, so here we go. Welcome to the kitchen. I'm not Peter McKinnon, so I'm not going to show you lots of B-roll of me making coffee. Right? The trip to San Francisco, it was really awesome. I really enjoyed it. I'd gone over there to meet up with two sets of photographers to walk around the Irving Penn exhibition at the Young Museum, and that was fantastic. And I thought, what a good opportunity to put into practice an idea that a lot of people think is like a magic bullet to creating, great photographs. That's going somewhere new. Does that theory hold any water? Well, yes, to a degree, but also no. And I say no because I'm going to start off with something interesting. So I arrived in San Francisco on the evening, and I checked into the hotel, and it was down by Fisherman's Wharf, and I went for a walk, and the sun was beautiful. It was a lovely sunset, and I was checking everything out, the seals, and the boats to Alcatraz, and the Golden Gate there out in the bay, and all that kind of stuff. It was really lovely. It was very touristy, but I'd made a conscious effort to photograph anything that caught my fancy, that I wanted to see what happens when I wasn't having any distractions, and I would just photograph everything. I could be in a photographer's mindset for a few days. And that was very interesting because something weird sort of happened. So apart from getting coffee, right, which is one of the reasons why I'm down here in the kitchen, I also love to cook. And I have some recipes that I kind of have up here, and I always kind of revisit them over and over and over again. And that kind of happened in San Francisco. Certainly the first day that I was there, I was walking around, and all the photographs that I took on that particular evening feel like they could have been photographed anywhere. They're pictures I could take in London, I could take them in Paris, Rome. The vibe of them for myself is completely the same. Now, whether or not that's a style choice, and people might say, well, that's kind of cool because that's what you do and that sort of thing, it's debatable. But the point was, just magically going to a new place didn't make my photography, in my head, any different. So it's like those recipes that I keep having. I can experiment with different cuisines and ideas and stuff like that, but I tend to always come back to the same tried and trusted recipes. Every now and again, I might add in a little new one to the repertoire. So what happened is I had the first day, that was the evening, slept. Next morning, I said, do you know what? I'm going to embrace the touristy thing. I'm going to get a bus, one of those open top buses, and I was going to drive around, see what I can find. And I'm on the bus and I'm listening to those, the ridiculous commentaries that they have. It's like, they're trying to make it interesting. Okay, I appreciate that. But some of it is just like, OMG, it's like, who wrote this? Anyway, be that as it may. I'm on that bus. And that was kind of odd because often when I go to a city or something like that, I don't really have much of a set agenda. Just kind of, I wander. Let the city decide where it wants to take me. But in this case, the city was the big bus company, and it was going to take me to some predestined stops around the city. So, I'm on the back of the bus, and I'm photographing around, and I can see even at this point I'm still doing similar photographs. It's kind of the same vibe. I think anybody who's seen my work before will start to recognize it, but slowly there's more different concepts creeping in. I'm starting to think a little bit differently. Oh look, Mr. Poe has come to join us. That's Poe. He's busy having his lunch, breakfast, brunch. Oh, who knows? The cats will do as cats do. Now, over the course of the next few days in San Francisco, it was, as I said, wonderful to meet up with some people. Dan and Josh, a huge thank you to you guys personally for driving me around the city. And then it was off to fly to Baltimore, where I had been before a couple of times. I have a friend who lives out there, and I was so more familiar with the area. And this is where things really started to, I think, change in regards to my photography. So we've been sitting here talking about the ideas of, if you go somewhere, does that mean that you can instantly take great photographs? And if you look at the images that I took in San Francisco, there's nothing in there that specifically shouts San Francisco, San Francisco. It's they're not all just like so much better because they were in San Francisco. They're images that could be found for anywhere really. They're very much the same thing. But something did happen when I was there, and that's because I was not in an environment that I'm normally in. That I kind of felt a little bit more free to try things out, to experiment with ideas, certainly technical ideas. And I think that's a lot down to the fact that I'm not in my usual area. I'm not going to the same places again. I'm not looking after, a cat or taking, a little boy to school, all that kind of stuff. I'm less shackled, as it were. And that really showed itself in Baltimore. So Poe, this is hello Poe again, right? So he wanted a little cuddle. I thought rather than showing out the video, that we'll include him. So I'm there in Baltimore, and what had happened was in San Francisco, I don't think I'd managed to kind of capture like an essence of the city or anything like that, but I had started pushing some boundaries, being a little less concerned about some technical ideas, just photographing and seeing what happens. And this is where the moment that I was down in the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, and I'd been getting annoyed about the lens on my camera being mussy and because it's in my pocket and it's hot. So that lens has always got some smudges on it, some oils from my hands and things like that. And it just makes everything a bit flary and horrible. And I went, rather than complaining about this, why not see what happens? And I thought, okay, let's take this to extreme. Let's point the camera straight at the sun. See how bad this flare is. And OMG, oh my God, I loved what happened. This insane starburst. It was like an instant bang, revelation to me, because all of a sudden that summed up the Inner Harbor. I've only ever really been to the Inner Harbor when it is stupidly hot. It's got a hot sun, it's got paving on the floor, it's got all that kind of stuff, and those images absolutely started to sum up for me this feeling of being baked alive. Fortunately, I was wearing shorts, unlike the first time I went there in jeans, which prompted me actually go and buy these very pair of shorts at the at one of the shops there. None of that, I think, would have happened had I have not spent that time in San Francisco. It was one thing to be in a new place, to check out new things, to feel energized. And yes, I did feel energized, but that was more because I was spending time with other photographers. I would have felt just the same. Ooh, little black cat. Just get that out of my face, Poe, right? I would have felt the same, I think, had I met with anybody like here, locally, or London, or Paris, or wherever, it doesn't matter. So that was number one. Meet up with a bunch of people and just talk photography, just enjoy being together, like hanging out. And then the second part was more like, okay, I'm now somewhere new. I'm not shackled down by my normal behaviors, right? I'm not just going through the motions. And I think that is kind of something that is beneficial about going somewhere new. However, of course, we can't go somewhere new. So what do we do if we want to kind of tap into this idea of really, you know, moving a bit forward, of being happy to experiment on the edges? And I feel that a way of doing that is to just kind of sit and spend some time just experimenting. Asking yourself that question, like, what if? What if I photograph a certain way? What if I try something out? What if I try something completely different that I'd never anticipated before? What if I take a single rule, like don't shoot straight into the sun without a lens and a mucky lens, and apply that to, well, just break the rule? Something of that nature. And if all else fails, go for a little weekend away somewhere that you haven't been. It doesn't need to be halfway across the world like going to San Francisco. It just needs to be somewhere. Just go to the next state, go visit the next city over, something like that. Just get out of your normal routine. So for the last few months, PicDrop have been very kindly sponsoring the channel, and it's their continued support that allows me to make videos such as this that are on the fringes of YouTube. They're not the how to get super sharp images or the secrets to ISO that only the pros knows. These are videos that are never going to reach a hugely wide audience, but I think that they are extremely beneficial in the world of photography, to have these kind of conversations, to talk about the things that go beyond the those technical manuals that we have. And if you want to share your images, if you want to exchange ideas and things like that, then PicDrop is a wonderful way of being able to make a collective. If you're a camera club and you have meetups like this, like we had in San Francisco and DC and Baltimore, then you can use PicDrop to put all the photographs in one place. You don't have to mess with tons of making up galleries and then sharing links to all and sundry and worrying about permissions and things. It's a really simple way of just collating photographs in a private, secure environment that can also be having this kind of back and forth discussion that I think is so beneficial to our growth as photographers. And a huge thank you to PicDrop. I do use them both in the cohorts and with the the Aperture Allies community and here on the channel from time to time, and I'm really thankful for them to support the channel. So if you'd like to give them some support in return, check on the link in the description box below. So a huge personal thank you to Dan, who I've been mentoring for a while now, and he drove me around on the Friday night in San Francisco. It was lovely. And then Josh also on the Saturday, taking me out in a little bit further afield and showing me some of California. It was absolutely gorgeous. And thank you both. And thank you to everybody else who was there. I am thinking about doing some similar things in Europe. If you've got any suggestions, maybe something in Frankfurt, because like Frankfurt's my favorite European city of all, for some weird reason, then let me know in the comment section below. I'd say, I really hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, just give it a thumbs up, love, subscribe, any of that kind of stuff that you'd like to. And if you want to find out more about like square format photography and how you can really make the most of it, check out this video over here. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.